Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, hey Bob, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. So how does the video look? All right.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Okay, good, good. I'm just using my phone, so that's good to know.
Okay, good. Got that cool. Is that a Harper hat?
Oh, it's a Harper hat and the Harper logo. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
it's better than my lame bald head.
That's right. How you been doing?
Good, thank you.
Oh, good. You got a lot of 45 minutes is actually, I was thinking, man, that's gonna be a long time. Now I know
Well,
you're a good speaker, so
well, thank you. What I did do is I have a whole, I don't know if you can see it on my screen, but I have a whole, pile of slides there. So I practiced it a couple of times, and it comes out to, depends on how fast I go, 30 to 35 minutes.
oh
And
perfect.
then I'm thinking if, we do the 30 to 35 minutes and then open it up for clutter when people interrupt me for questions, but it's hard to do on Zoom for one. And then two, then you never know how far you get in the presentation.
Right. Yeah, especially if you end up with a lot of people. We try to keep people muted until questions or they can do it through chat
Right,
questions.
right. But I'm thinking, so after at the end when I'm done, I won't be looking at chat, right? So at the end when I'm done, if there's questions in chat, maybe you could tell me what they were, and I can answer them, or somebody. I don't know I don't know how the questions will get directed to me. People will just have to unmute, I guess.
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
maybe I'll be
I was gonna
boring. There won't be any questions.
I'll at least ask you a couple questions.
There.
Oh, good.
I just hope it's interesting for people. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, yeah. No, I appreciate you being willing to do this. Is Sky High, I assume they're on pause too, right?
Yeah, they're on pause, and then the week of December 14th, we're trying to figure out a way where you have practices, but you have like one, two, or three people at the practice. Then the coaches have to spend more time to, because you have one, two, or three people. For I don't even know if that's in the spirit of what Prisker is saying, where you can do private lessons, not group meetings, but that's what I think we're planning to do.
Oh, bring two or three kids in at a time. Hmm.
Yeah, for an hour, because like we're only talking about 1 week in the month, right? So instead of having 8 practices for the month, you have 8 practices that week, but then you bring one, two, or three people in at a time on the team, and it kind of equates to you got some practice time. So I don't know how that's going to work. We're still in the throes of figuring that out. But
Yeah.
it's all, especially at Sky High with so many people, right? The coach, they want private lesson teachers, as many coaches who want to do private lessons as they can,
Sure.
and
You
the
guys have
course.
your own facility too, so you can go the whole for 12 hours, I guess you could technically.
Yeah, 12 hours a day, 8 courts. Then there's 2 facilities, and but yeah, there are a lot of people that do want the I think it's
Lesson.
$75 an hour that they do want the private lessons. It's pretty
Sure.
pricey if you ask me. Yeah, and in
Yeah.
this presentation, I talk about it too. Coaches are wonderful and everything, but you know what? If you were to go outside and play doubles in the sand with 3 other friends, you'd probably get better faster than any coach can help you in an hour.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, lessons are good for tweaking things or teaching a new skill or what have you and getting some good feedback, I think, if you're struggling with a certain technique or something. But like you
Yeah, I don't
said,
want to. Yeah, I don't want to insult coaches, but exactly right. Teach the fundamentals, teach you how to do it, and then it's because you can't say the same thing 42 times. The player doesn't need that, but eventually you teach them the right thing, and then if they indeed follow what you said, it's definitely a head start.
right. No, I agree. That's
Yeah, I'm gonna
kind of the
turn I'm
game
gonna turn
teachers.
this light off because it's back here.
Oh, sure.
There now,
That's
it's not
better.
like the sun is behind me.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Is that your office, your home office there?
Oh yeah, and it's a sign of a sick mind if it's clean, right? So it's a messy place.
There you
But
go. Wow, you got a lot of screens. What do you
oh
do
yeah,
for?
yeah, Houston Mission Control, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So
You like an
there's no.
engineer or something?
Well, I was. I'm not working anymore. I think I want to say part of me says thank goodness, and the other part of me says, gosh, I wish I was working, especially now. I was at AT&T, big company.
Oh,
If
right.
if I were at AT&T for this last year during this pandemic, it'd be like free money because there's not a whole lot to do because there's not a whole lot of customers who are buying, and you get paid.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying not working, so that's going well for me.
Yeah. So unfortunately, right now you could do traveling, but you really can't travel much. I mean, you could, I guess, but
Yeah, you really can't. I mean, travel's not smart.
right. Well, then yeah, you'd have to quarantine if you when you come back and all that too.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
figured that scenario out. So you take a vacation to Hawaii, but you have to quarantine somewhere for 7, 10, or 14 days. Is that before you go there? Is that after you get back? Is that when you get there? I don't know how any of that works.
Yeah, I think it's when you get back, but it depends. Some states they want you to quarantine when you get there, so you could end up quarantining on the front and back end.
Right. So if you're going to go to Hawaii, you got to go 2 weeks. The first week, you can't leave your hotel room. The second week, now you can have
That's
fun.
right. Yeah, I can't keep track of that much. That's too many numbers for me.
Right.
Uh, well, great. Is Harper in finals week then this week or?
You know what? I don't know. That's a great question. I could tell you what U of I is doing this week, but not because my son's going there, right? But I couldn't tell
Oh,
you what's happening in Harper on the schedule. I do know that the Harper season is scheduled to start January 4th. And of course, we're all concerned about that. Will the college season even happen, or will it get delayed again? Right now, though, the season is on for starting practices January 4th. And then our first game would be February. I don't know what the date is. How's Judson? What are they?
they start January 11th. And their first match is the 26th, I believe.
Okay.
So, oh, I didn't realize it's 7. Let's crank this up
Time flies.
and get going.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, well, thanks everybody for coming. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm just going to introduce real quick our guest speaker, and then he's going to take charge. And then toward the end, in the last 10 minutes, we're going to have an open question and answer session. So if you have any questions that you would like Coach Bob to answer, you could type them in the chat function on our Zoom meeting, and I'll read them to him at the end. Otherwise, this is Coach Bob Bilsaway. He is the head coach at Harper College in Palatine. He's been there for 20 years now, and he's won a national championship in 2016. He made it to the regional or the national finals in 2017, and he just last year they finished in 6th place in the national tournament. So he's had a lot of success on the court, and he's also one of the 18 and under coaches at Sky High Volleyball Club up in Crystal Lake. So he understands the club situation as far as what we go through, as well as the college level and how to get there, and then how to be a success at the college level. So he's got a lot of great information to share with you. So I'll turn it over now to Coach Bob.
Thanks very much, Jeff. I appreciate it. I first have to say I'm honored to be here, so thanks for having me. I actually wrote all of my notes on a sheet of paper, and it's on my screen behind you, right? So if I'm not looking right at the camera, it's because I'm looking right behind the camera at the notes. I'm in my home office. I was considering all kinds of different options, like on a volleyball court somewhere, in the living room with a real, video camera or something. And I was also thinking about in the background putting some video highlights of players doing something. But I decided, home office from here will work. So when I practiced this presentation a couple, 2 or 3 times at least before tonight, it runs about 30, maybe 35 minutes, right? So I also like it when people interrupt me and ask questions, but we're not going to do that here because it's too hard to interrupt on Zoom. But anyway, so I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having me. And then, like Jeff said, we won the national championship in 2016, took 2nd place in 2017. 2018, we needed to reload. Then this last year, 2019, we took 6th in the country, and we had nothing but freshmen on the team. Well, not nothing but freshmen, but just about freshmen. So they're all coming back. And the teams that finished 1 through 5 ahead of us, they all had a top-notch sophomore outside hitter who was going to graduate. So on paper, at least, Harper is probably the favorite to win the national championship going forward. Owens originally was not going to play this year because of COVID, but now they decided to get back into it, and they would be our toughest competition. So it's probably Owens is the favorite, and we're the favorite to lose in the finals and come in second. But Harper's been very, very good to me. I've been there for, like you said, just said 20 years. We've had 8 conference championships out of those 20 years, 11 regional finals, 7 regional titles. 7 times we've gone to the national tournament. 5 times we finished in the Final Four. So we're actually very, very good. And then not to sound like a half-hour infomercial on Harper, which we're not going to do, but a couple other success notes I wanted to say in that time, in that 20 years, we've had 20 All-Americans. And let me stop on that for a time. I knew this one coach. He was coaching at Toledo, and he stayed at Toledo 1 whole extra year just because he thought one of his players might get to be an All-American. That's a big deal when you get an All-American at any level on your resume. Well, at Harper, we've had 20 of them now in those 20 years. 14 all-national tournament team players, 1 all-national tournament MVP, 67 all-conference players in that period, 4 conference MVP out of those 20 years, 44 all-region players, 3 all-region players of the year. These are hard to get, 36 all-region tournament players and 25 players of the week. Oddly, after all that, though, one of the things I'm most proud of is that 7 times we were an academic team of the year. So what does that mean? So the GPA, the average GPA of the team was over 3.0, and 7 times out of the 20 we did that. So I'm pretty happy about that. And there's a bunch of other academic awards and stuff. I've got a pile of these: 5-time conference coach of the year, 6-time region coach of the year, 7-time district coach of the year. So I've been there a long time, and I have a lot of fun doing it. As for Sky High, I've been there a long time also, and frankly, I've been able to talk a lot of players who played for me and club to have them come over to also play at Harper, and I have a lot of good luck with that. As it is, I think I get to know the players and the parents. They like me, so that's why they follow me on to college. If I didn't coach club, you can't expect to be successful in college without coaching club. But in club, we were able to win 6 consecutive bids to nationals. And you think about that, we're actually a regional team. How are we winning bids to nationals? So we get into Windy City and we finish in the top division, top 2, 3, or 4 teams, and we get a bid to go to the national tournament. So a couple of times we were able to go to the nationals tournament. One time we were at the national level, not the American level, which is a higher level. And a couple, 2 or 3, I don't remember anymore, but a couple, 2 or 3 of those players on that team that had the opportunity to play against players who were committed to go to schools like Texas, played at Harper College on our national championship team. So I remember our Libero was, just as good, and I mean this, as good as the Libero on the other team who had committed to go to the 4-year school, University of Texas. So we're pretty happy about that. And if you know the history of University of Texas, somewhere in there they won a championship themselves. Okay, and then Jeff's daughter, Jeff Smith, chose to go to Harper for 1 year, and she had like 30 AP classes and college credits. And then after 1 year at Harper, she graduated. Now, I would have liked for her to have stayed a 2nd year at Harper. Anybody, if you come to Harper, we want you to stay 2 years, not 1. Any junior college, any 2-year school would want you to stay 2 years, not 1. But if you stay for 1, in her case, she graduated and then moved on to Judson. Anyway, if she had stayed at Harper her 2nd year, she would have been our Libero, not our DS. She was a DS the 1st year. So when you think about 2-year schools, think about this. You go there the 1st year, you're probably the apprentice at that position. You stay there for your 2nd year, and now you're the master at that position. And so Jess would have been, DS the 1st year, and then that's the apprentice, right? And then the master the 2nd year, she's the Libero. Similar with setting or any other position, because you probably have freshmen on the roster who will then become the sophomore starters, or coach didn't do a good job recruiting. And then in high school, you go there and become the freshman player. And this happens in 4-year schools too, but it's not quite the same. You go to a 4-year school, and oftentimes you're the apprentice for your first 3 years, and then by the time you get to be a senior, you end up on the court, you hope. So you sit on the bench for 2 or 3 years before you finally get on the court at a 4-year school. It's kind of a big difference between 2 and 4-year schools. And this is how recruiting happens. I kind of talk about this throughout, because we're talking about what it takes to be a college player in this presentation. You would have thought I would have titled the presentation, but that's as close to the title as you're going to get, right? But this is how it happens. And I'll use Jess as an example. Our Sky High team was playing the Serve City team, and at the end of the match, went up to the coach, Jeff, and said, "Hey, your team played really well, but I really liked your Libero." Jeff, well, thank you very much. Are you a college coach? Yes, I am. I coach at Harper College. And if she is interested in playing at Harper, let me know. I'd sure save her a spot. And then it turns out, the 2-year schools are about $4,000 a year if you're in region. or there's ways to be in region even if you're not in region, but it's about 4,000 a year. So you can, go to a 2-year school and spend 4,000 a year, or you can go to another school, a 4-year school, pick your poison. It can be 20, 30, or $40,000 a year in tuition. You save literally $50,000 of real cash to go to a 2-year school. And when I say real cash, that's after tax dollars. So if you're saving $50,000, your parents have to save up $75,000 to pay the $50,000. So that's why 2-year schools are a real opportunity. Jessica, in her case, not to dwell on her, she's only on this first slide, Jeff. After Harper, she moved on and is playing at Judson. It turns out she was on the JV team. We played them our sophomore year when she would have been our Libero, but instead she was their Libero. And we usually beat JV teams. We're a pretty good 2-year school. That year, the Judson JV team beat us. And why, you ask? Well, because we served it at their Libero, and guess what? Their Libero can pass, so we lost. Anyway, after, whether it's club, high school, or after Harper, when you go to a 4-year school, what's the first question that those colleges ask? And the answer is, what are your grades? What's your GPA? So they're not asking you how tall you are or how good you are, what club you played for, what school you went to. They're asking you, what are your grades? And what they want is, if they're going to give you scholarship money, they want scholarship money to come out of the academic pool of money, not the athletic pool of money. So the more academic dollars they can give away, that's more athletic dollars they have left over to give you if you're looking for scholarship money. If your grades are poor, they might still take you with athletic dollars, but you have so many more opportunities with good grades. So there's my pitch at stay in school and get good grades. GPAs of over 3 or 3.5, and of course in high school you can get over 4 and 4.5 with some of the AP and advanced classes and everything, but ensure you pad that GPA if you can. It really improves your opportunities by a lot. And by the way, for the record, Jeff's a very, very good coach. I mean, he was watching the Harper games, and it was a lot of fun. Jeff, this is meant for you too. It was fun chatting about our team with you in the stands before or after the games about our team. Your perspectives were most welcome and quite accurate. So I appreciate the time we had together. All right, planning ahead. Now, I've kind of divided this into planning ahead from a U12, 13, 14 perspective versus a U15, 16, 17, 18 perspective. But when it's all said and done, it's all the same. What do I mean by that, right? So if you're, listening to the 12, 13, and 14 side, take it to heart if you're 15 through 18 and vice versa. So I'm starting with the younger 12, 13, 14 kind of thing. First things first, you want to play all positions. If you don't want to just be a libero, just be a middle hitter and outside, certainly not at that age. You want to learn how to set, you want to learn how to pass in the back row, learn how to play it all. Now, several years back, I had a U13 team. Usually I have U17, 18s, but I had a U13 team. The players would arrive to practice even before I did. I get to practice early. I'm a responsible coach, right? But they're there long before me. They set up the net, they started the music, and they played on their JBLs, the Jibble, right? The speaker box, right? They would have music there. And then they were playing, 6-on-6, but it was funny because they were playing like short court. So they were just like tapping the ball over the net. And, if the ball went behind the 10-foot line, it was out kind of a thing. So the first thing I did when I got there is like, no. You got to play the whole court. So we started playing queens and doubles. And so, there were 2 people on the other side of the net. So these 13-year-olds who they were 6 on a court between the 10-foot line and the net were now 2 people on a court and covering the whole court. And serves now had to go all the way across the net. So they learned fast that they had to run and cover a lot of the court. So, volleyball is meant to be a kind of a running thing. You got to move. And what's fun now is some of those very same players, they haven't graduated yet, and many of them go to Fremd High School. Fremd is right near at least where we practice. And I've been pretty proud of watching them on the Fremd team as the years go by. And last couple of years, Fremd has done very, very well. So I'm a happy camper with seeing the players I've coached at early ages are doing well there. All right. The next thing, Jeff and I were joking, and not really joking, but we talked about it and we meant it. But before we started 5 minutes early, just chatting back and forth. And if you have a chance, play more as much as you can. So play outside, especially in the sand or the grass. That's where you learn how to pass and learn how to serve in the wind and the sun, the rain and tornadoes and all kinds of crazy weather. And that's where you really can get good fast. So get 2 or 3 other buddies, 3 or 4 other buddies, whatever, and play outside doubles or triples in the grass or in the sand. And the ugly secret to all this is you might just get as good by playing outside in the sand with your friends as you do with a coach. It's kind of like basketball players. Why is it that the inner city players are as good as any other suburban players? Because they're playing every day outdoors with you try to shoot a 3-pointer in the wind, right? And they're playing every day a lot with or without coaches, and they get really, really good. Now, it sure helps to play AAU where you get really good professional coaching, but that's where the basketball players are all coming from. Next thing is arrive early to practices. And I don't mean early like, it's 6:59 for 7 o'clock practice. I mean, it's 6:30 or 6:45. And then somewhere in here, and maybe I'll have to remember where I put it, but warm up with somebody before you get there to practice also. I have a story to tell about that. Talk to your coaches, ask what you want. And don't be afraid. We're just people. Just ask us questions. We'll answer. And we probably won't even make up a lie or anything. All right. But there's no reason to specialize this young. You don't need to be a libero. You don't need to be a middle. You don't need to be the setter. You need to be a volleyball player that eventually learns to play a position. And I want to say, take that to a point. You still want to take position-specific training still. So if you think you want to set, go to a setter's clinic. If you think you want to be a back row because you're only 5'5" or your parents are both 5'6", full grown, then go to the Libero classes and learn how to play back row. Now, some players walk onto their high school freshman team and they already know they're going to be the top setter in the grade, or they already know they're going to be the top middle hitter. But the best thing is to be versatile. Okay. And then learn fundamentals. That's where coaches can help a lot. No goofy feet. And I've had players on my teams, on my club teams, who I've got from coaches from the prior team, and they forgot to notice that, the player is hitting off the wrong foot. If you're a right-handed hitter, you should be jumping finally, well, really off both feet, but off your left foot last, right? You don't want to be jumping off your right foot if you're a right-footed hitter, right? So no goofy feet. That'll disqualify you from playing on any college team, okay? And then you want to lift. Don't swing, all right? Lift with your body and your legs. Don't swing with your arms when you pass. And then use your approach. Always use your approach. Whenever the ball crosses the net, make sure you run back into your approach and then take 2 steps at least, and then jump at the same time and hit it. All right. Now, just to fit notes for 15 through 18, and they apply to everybody, but I kind of stuck them over here on the 15 through 18 thing. Same thing. Arrive early to practices. My story there is back when I was actually young, 25 years old or something like that. I was coaching a women's power volleyball league, and there were 2 women's AA players on the team, and the rest of the women on the team were like A or B kinds of players. And I was finally asked, Bob, why were the 2 AA players always playing? And why do I play them more? Well, of course, my answer is, well, I mean, there's 2 answers to this. A, they're better. But the next question is, why are they better? Well, it's because every time since they've been young, when they go to a practice, they show up 15 minutes early before that practice. And what are they doing? They're actually peppering with each other before they actually get on the court. So they're getting a lot of reps. They're getting hard reps. They're getting good reps, high quality reps. And what happens? Those players end up with far more ball control than the rest of you. That's why I play them more, because they're better. And the reason they're better is because they were showing up early and practicing. I actually told that story to my club team this last session because they were starting on time at 7:30, whatever the time was. But after I told them that story, what happened? At about 7:20 or 7:22, the girls were already on the court starting to play queens before I could even tell them at 7:30 what they're supposed to do. So that story went a long way. They took it to heart. So get there early, start warming up ahead of time. Similarly, is the 12 through 14. Ask your coaches what you need to work on. Don't be shy. Why am I not your best player? Or why am I not your starter? What do I need to do? What do I need to impress you about? And then here's what the answer might be. This might not be the answer you want to hear, but here's what the answer is. A, work out. And I mean work out on your own. Go to the gym, work out, run. Run on your high school track team. It's free coaching, right? Even if you're not the fastest girl on that team, go get on your high school track team anyway. It's free coaching. They probably don't cut you. Get on cross country, get active, right? And then lift weights. And then do the exercises, especially that improve your vertical jump, whatever that is, squats, jump rope, etc., right? Play somewhere else. I already talked about playing outside in the grass or the sand for younger people. Play outside. There's always tournaments at North Avenue Beach, downtown, on the beaches. They're awesome tournaments. Go play in those, or local sand tournaments. Just practice in the sand. Just get 3 friends and go play at a local sand court. There's lots of them. This summer, where was I? I was in Inverness and at South Barrington on the sand courts a bunch. And then the other thing is work harder than your teammates. So you have a kind of a bar to work toward. Work harder than all the rest of your teammates. And I'm making a joke here about Hoffman Estates High School, so I apologize ahead. But and if you go to school at Hoffman Estates High School, then don't use the players on that team to be your bar. Work harder than the rest of the schools that you play. In other words, you got to outwork everybody else that you're going to play against. Okay, and that's how you get good at any level, any sport. The other thing is multiple sport athletes. It's all good. Over time, I've done an like an informal correlation study. Soccer players, dancers, including ballerina, and, gymnasts, they all make excellent volleyball players. So when you're young, do these other things, right? Because as you get older, why is that? Well, because when you do these other sports, you learn exactly where each body part goes, especially your feet. And volleyball especially is a feet game, right? So if you're a soccer player and you know how to kick a ball and you're coordinated with your feet, you'll be better at volleyball, I promise. And I can also tell the difference between one sport athletes like volleyball versus multiple athletes. Usually court awareness gives it away. Like a multi-sport athlete will be on the court ready to pass the ball, and the ball will hit, I don't know, ricochet on the wall behind them and roll behind the player. The player doesn't even see the ball, but they'll get up, they'll turn around, they'll pick up the ball, right? And they'll know it was there. But a volleyball player that just plays volleyball, they won't have paid attention. Somebody over there hit the ball and it ricocheted off the wall and is now behind them. There's definitely a cut above about multiple sport athletes. So feel free to play softball, basketball, other sports besides volleyball. Now, I'm on the next slide here from my notes. So it's a new topic, right? So I'm saying here the guiding principles, and not all coaches, not all clubs are the same. So with the team that you're on, you're governed by the coach that you are being coached by. But these are things I look for, and this is the guiding principles that I coach toward. So this is one of those. You might just say that, well, gosh, on the Zoom call, Bob said this, but my coach says that. Well, you know what? You're on that team, so you do what that coach says. But these are my guiding principles. Okay, I start with serve hard. 38 miles an hour is what we look at, and I mean it. We get out the we get out the radar gun and aim it at the players and see if they're serving 38 miles an hour or not. For girls, I like the jump float, and that's where you're jump floating 38 miles an hour. For boys, frankly, I like hard top spin, jump spin hard as you can. Try to hammer it as hard as you can, but it's got to be in, right? But here's my 38 miles an hour story. So here we are. We had a fantastic two-person serve receive. One of my friend Liberos was one Libero at Harper, and I had the other outside being the other two-person serve receiver. We were going through the whole half of the season doing a fantastic job with two-person serve receive. Just like doubles outdoor, you should be good at it, right? Well, Milliken came with not exactly their JV team and not their starters. It's a four-year school, but they played with their varsity reserves. And sure enough, those varsity reserves served our two-person serve receive off the court. I mean, we were horrible against them. And, fortunately, Debbie Kick, the head coach at Milliken, came up to me afterwards and told me their secret. And she said, in practice, they actually serve hard, complete with the radar gun, and you are not allowed to serve if you're a Milliken player unless you're 38 miles an hour or faster on your serve. Well, to do that, you have to serve it hard, certainly, right? A lot of motion on your wrist, right? And then you want to hit it low across the net, because if you hit it 35 miles an hour and you hit it kind of high off the net, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to hit the back wall, right? Well, anyway, that 38 mile an hour, that's what you want to shoot for. Now, I took the radar gun from the baseball team to our volleyball practice, and we were serving, most of us were 38, 39. There were a couple people at 42. We did have some good swingers, but some people were not at 38. So work hard on that. The next guiding principle I have here is on passing. Okay, it's especially important. I even have big red letters, right? Move, don't reach. Move, don't reach, right? No falling over, no flopping, no tipping over. Stay behind the ball if possible, right? Call it, of course. Do I need to say that? Anyway, sprint to the spot, stop, and pass. Run-throughs, are taught, but I kind of view that as old technology. Way back when people used to teach run-throughs. Now the better coaches are saying run, sprint, get to the spot, stop, and lift. Right? Okay. And then next is use both hands. It's amazing how people go run after a ball and then they stick one hand out and they think they're going to get the ball up. It takes no additional time to move that second arm over. Your feet are doing the work getting there. Just move your other arm over there. It's the difference between trying to hit a volleyball into the air by hitting it up into the air with a baseball bat versus like with a tennis racket. It's going to go straight up with a tennis racket, right? But it's not going to go straight up with a baseball bat. It might get lucky. All right. And then hit the third ball over the net. Okay, don't set it over the net. That gives an opportunity to call a double hit, but hit it over the net, drive it, swing. and no passing it over the net. And that's a big word there, no passing. Stop passing that third ball over the net. Okay, that second pass might need to be more effective so you can hit that third ball over the net, but the goal is hit it. Now, you have to move your feet so you're under it and drive it into a corner, behind the setter corner, maybe behind the libero corner. I don't care, just over the net, but get it on the other side of the net with a hit. Some players actually don't think they can make a great swing at the ball, and then they back away and they pass it. No, practice getting your feet under the ball. Yes, we run drills to make this happen, but hit the ball. Make that third ball go over the net with a drive, with a hit, not two-handed set, no passes. Setting, we square up, get under the ball. You don't want to lean one way or other. Like if the set's over here, you can't make it legally. If the set's over here, you can't make it legally. Get under the ball, okay? And you all have to set the ball cleanly, not just the setter. Referees on the rest stand, they're ready to exhale before before you're even touching the ball if you're not the setter. Okay, and then don't lose silly points. I call them silly points. I put that in quotes, right? What I mean by that, no foot faults. Be on the court during the serves. If you're off the court during the serve, even if your foot is half on, half off, you're not paying attention, maybe you're talking to somebody off the court, you lose that point. No overlaps. Understand the overlap, how that works, right? Pay attention to those details. And then do not hit the net while blocking or following through. I can't stand it when a player lands in the net or hits the net. And then, reduce those double hits. Either hit the ball, pass it, make a clean set, but you don't want the referee to call double hits on you. And then this is a big, in capital letters, safety thing. Do not go under the net. I know, especially when you're a hitter and you're in your approach and the set is low and tight to the net, the temptation is to broad jump under the ball and hit it, but you're going to land in the net. But most importantly, you're going under the net. It's not the point you lose. I don't care if you hit the net or go under it, but I don't want you to get an injury, and I don't want you to land under the blocker that's landing on your foot and get that injury. And when you get injuries, if it's a sprained foot, it's 2 to 6 weeks, right? If you get a twisted knee or like an ACL, you're out for the whole year. Do not go under the net. Okay. Now another one, and some coaches will disagree with this, no setter dumps. The setters, stop tipping it, stop dumping it, let your hitters hit. You're not aspiring to beat high school B teams. You want to play varsity high school teams in college. And when you put like me on the defense on the other side of the net, you tip the ball over the net, you've just given me a free ball. So hit it, don't tip. And that goes for hitters as well. Hit, don't tip. Tips are easily dug by good teams. I had a player on my college team last year. She was tipping it against COD and what was the other team? Joliet. And I was like, stop tipping. You got to hit it. We're not aspiring to beat COD or Joliet. We're aspiring to win a national championship. We're trying to beat good teams like Owens, right? So you're not going to beat Owens by tipping. You need to hit. So practice against bad teams. Learn how to hit against bad teams and just try not to tip. Now, that being said, I used to tip a lot too, but never mind me. You want to play at high levels. Now, when you're starting out, the younger players, right, some coaches will tell you to hit it in no matter what, and then as you get better, hit it harder. And then some other coaches will look at you and say, hit it as hard as you can, even if it's all off against the backboard from the basket or off the back wall, just hit it as hard as you can. And then eventually you'll dial into hitting it on the court. You have to decide what coach you're playing for and what kind of player you are and what the right decision is. But you'll see coaches in both places. But I will say this, when you're on a 17s or 18s team, every hit should be inbounds by then. Same as on a varsity, high school team and college. Every hit needs to be in, whether it's hard or soft. And similarly, never miss a serve. Yeah, I know you have statistics of serving 90% or 95% or something. No, you need to be never miss a serve. 95% is what you want to be serving at in college. And then similarly, never miss a hit, but you still have to be aggressive. We're not talking about giving the other team roll shots, right? Hit the ball hard, and it still has to be aggressive and still in. Okay, and then another note about tipping. You see I'm an anti-tipping person here. And I'm going to almost do the quote, read my little writing verbatim. Some coaches want that cheap win at young ages. You ever hear the quote, free, in quotes now, free the ball over and let them make the mistakes. Nope. Be aggressive. Hit it over. Don't be afraid to make the mistakes, at least some mistakes. Take points. You'll give a few away, right? But in the long run, you'll be able to defeat tougher teams if you're hitting it harder and not, giving free balls away or tipping it just to get it over the net. Learn how to hit, bad sets. Now, this next slide here, the title on it is Potential College Player. Okay, and the first bullet I have here is, does height actually matter? Well, a lot of colleges have a profile. You got to be 6 feet or taller to be an outside, 6'2" or taller to be a middle, 5'10" or taller to be a setter, blah, blah, blah. I'm none of that. I believe that ball control, heart, and desire, that's what wins games. Ball control, heart, and desire. Height really doesn't matter. I mean, to a point, it's good to be tall if you can be, right? Speed is good to have, hustle, of course, but not fake hustle. I'm not into this. Okay, the first two hits have taken place, and the third hit is, going to happen behind the 30-foot line, where the people serve. And then you have somebody sprinting off the court to run after it. They dive on the ground and they pancake that third ball. Well, what did you think was going to happen? That pancake was magically going to make the ball bounce all the way from behind the court over in the net? That to me is fake hustle. It's not, that's not real hustle. Real hustle is you're running as fast as you can, run past the ball off the court, bring it back onto the court, speed, anticipating soon, thinking before the other team hits it, what they're going to do, where it's going to go. That stuff is real hustle. Okay, and you can tell when it comes to hearts, right? You can tell when a team plays with their hearts. It's a thing of beauty when you see it, and it's not always there. And some good teams, they never still did play with their hearts. But man, when you see teams play with your hearts, you can even lose a match in the third or the fifth set, whichever it is, right? You lose 15-13, but you played with your hearts to get to that point. And some coach or parents will say, "Gosh, you lost by 2 points against such a good team. You guys really screwed up. You could have won it, yet you played so well to that point." It's just a 1 or 2 point difference, whether you won that match 15-13 or lost 13-15. It's all good. You still played well against a good team. All right. But anyway, that's playing with your hearts. Now, back to the multiple positions. I have too many stories, but I'm not going to tell them here, but I'm going to say this. If you are going to be a libero, you want to learn other positions like setter, maybe outside hitter, maybe even middle hitter. If you're an outside hitter, learn to play middle and learn to hit right side. Quick story there is we had Morgan. She was an outside hitter at Harper. We only had 2 middles. Well, one of the middles, I don't know what happened. She had an injury or a bad hair day or something, and I needed to put an outside hitter in for the middle. I didn't know which outside hitter to put in. So I looked down the bench, and, Morgan seems out hustle everybody, but she still wasn't as good as the other 2 outsides, at least I didn't think. So I put her in to play middle. She never played middle before, but sure enough, she got a couple points. She got a couple of digs and passes, and it was her hustle that really struck me. Well, guess what? The rest of the season, she became into the rotation. Now she played, 2/3 of the time at the outside hitting position. Anyway, there's more to that story. But if you hustle and you play one position, you endear yourself to the coach to play maybe the position that you really like. And if you're a middle hitter, play outside and right side. And I'm going to take a poke here at Rolling Thunder. Not like Rolling Thunder. It took him 2 years for me to teach their middle hitter that we got from Rolling Thunder to learn how to hit from either antenna, the outside left side or the right side. That player went on to be the national tournament player of the year. I mean, all tournament player. But I had to take 2 years on my club team and then at Harper to teach her to learn how to hit from the antennas. That should have been done, freshman or sophomore year, if not sooner. And if you're a setter, play libero, DS, outside, right side, maybe middle. I have some stories there. If you're a setter, one year we ran a 6-2 and we had a couple of left-handed hitters. So what does that mean when you do the lineup? Well, the setters, that meant, got to hit left side, not right side. So the setters, in that case, they got to set and play left side. They were actually capable of playing middle too, because you train them that way to play, hit from multiple spots. But that was a fun 6-2 that year. We had the setter setting, hitting left side instead of normally you'd have them set and either go out in the front row or hit right side. And if you're young, really young, right, and you're really tall and you really want a college scholarship, choose setting, because setters are the most important position. And boy, every college wants a tall setter. Finally, I think I told you, no goofy feet, you'll be instantly disqualified. Okay, and then there's a lot of recruiting sites, and there's the message on the recruiting site. I go to these clinics, and there's a lot of really proud know-it-all D1 coaches who are there, and I kind of did an informal survey, and I asked them, "Do you ever use those recruiting sites?" Okay, what are the recruiting sites I'm talking about? Well, BeRecruited.com, PrepHero.com, Huddle, NCSA, which is like Next College Student Athlete, Rich Kern, University Athlete, Captain U, Field Level, NSR. I mean, these are all the recruiting sites, right? And the reality is when you're looking for a college job to play at, whether you use those recruiting sites or not, remember the D1 coaches are saying they don't use them. It's like, you fill out a resume, complete a resume, get some video, right? And it's like searching for a job. And when you search for a job, you don't just search for 5 jobs or 10 jobs. You send out 100 resumes, if not more. And that's what you need to do. And I've seen that with the club players I have. I get copied on a lot of the emails, or when a college coach looks at their video and stuff, I get messages and it tells me what they're looking at. And the girls that advertise themselves more get and they truly get more opportunities. And I can't believe it sometimes. I'll look at a player, and I remember a specific one from Barrington High School. She went to play somewhere in North Carolina, and I was thinking to myself, my God, she wouldn't even start at Harper in the middle, and here she's thinking she's a D1 athlete at the school down in North Carolina. She got the job in North Carolina, and she's playing, and it's crazy. But what did she do? She advertised. So if you want to play in college, get 100, 150 resumes out and make sure you've got some video to back it up. Okay, now what do I look for? What's the first thing I look for in a potential college player and by position? And my notes here say libero, and I think it's really interesting because when I wrote this up, what was I thinking first? Libero. So what do we want? Libero first. All right, ball control. A libero can change the entire outcome of the match. The first thing I look for in a libero is, can they back up quickly to pass serves and to stay behind it, not reach or take it overhand, move back. Then I look to see if that libero will sprint forward for short serves, then stop and pass. And then serves that, crash into the net, can they still get those? So you can't just say, okay, the serve hit the net and rolled over and landed. Well, it took me a long time to figure out how to pass those too, because lots of times, when they changed the rule a long time ago, when the ball couldn't tip the net, now it can tip the net. It took me a long time to pick those up, but you're younger. You pick it up right away. If the ball tips the net and rolls over, you still got to get that, okay? And then another thing about liberos, all right, I want my setters to dig the ball in front of the 10-foot line when the setter digs it. Sometimes coaches will say, well, setter, shove it across the court to where the libero is. No, it's not what I want. I want my setters to dig the ball in front of the 10-foot line. The libero always bump sets to the antenna. So we're not teaching the liberos to set at all. We're teaching them to bump set always to the antenna because we really wanted to pass in front of the 10-foot line in the first place. Also, college coaches, they don't really want to teach two skills to liberos. They just want to teach them to get really good at bump passing. But liberos, you need to release when the ball is headed toward the setter. No different than the setter, looks to release when the ball is headed towards you, the libero, right? Or to anybody else. Then you want a good, high, accurate bump set. Lift, don't swing. It's hard to be accurate when you're swinging at the ball. So you want to aim your platform the way it needs to be, left, right, up or down, and just lift your body. And then it's like, back to using that tennis racket again. All right, and then what else do I look for in a libero? Strong serves, because you're serving, especially for a middle, and I want you on the court for your defense. I don't want the middle to serve because she has a better serve because she's actually a hitter. I want you to serve well because you're going to be the defender. Nothing like having the middle serve and then the other team hits it back at your middle and she can't dig it anyway. So we want your defense. So you need a strong serve. Outside hitter, the skills I look for in an outside hitter. Number one, I look for serve, receive, passing. Okay, serve, receive, passing. I want you to be a primary passer. I don't want you as an outside to come out in the back row. Secondly, defense, especially don't let the other team tip. Don't let the other team dump against you. Now, remember, we're not dumping or tipping against them, right? But you can't let them dump or tip against you. So you got to be able to move on defense. 3, strong serve, just like that libero, strong serve. Now, what do you notice in common about these 3 skills? Serve, receive, defense, and strong serving. They're actually all back row skills, but this is what I want in my outside hitter. And then the 4th skill, of course, I want you to be able to hit it hard and hit it in. So that's what I look for in an outside hitter, defense. All right, middle hitter. First thing I look for a middle hitter. Can they hit from all locations, especially both antennas? Now I run through a bunch of them here. 31s, 32s, what are those? 41, 42, what are those? 51, quick set, 52, a high ball in the middle, 72, a back set, slide. Not just, some teams do A, B, C in a slide, right? Coaches don't let middles play outside enough, at least in practice. This is when you are young, play multiple positions. I like to let the middles hit at either antenna on serve receive, right? And let the outsides hit in the middle on those serve receive. Then you're hitting from unpredictable locations. The other team can't dial in on their blocks as easy. Second skill I look for in a middle hitter, close those blocks, and block all opposing hitters. So if there's a hit coming from the other side of the net, you need to be double blocking it. You have to think about back row attacks another day. Play defense on free balls. So when the other team hits the ball over the net on a free ball, I want the middle to be able to get the ball in the middle of the court, not just stand there like a bump on the log at the net, right? Go back, play defense, and make that pass. Okay, so what do I look for in a right side hitter? Number 1 skill I look for, and of course I'm laughing when I say skill, is number 1 thing I look for is a left-handed right side. left-handed right side. If you can find those kinds of people, they are golden. Okay, but you also need that person to be able to side out from the left side on serve receive and from the middle on serve receive. And when we are running our X's, what's an X, right? When the middle goes to the right and then the right side comes into the middle and hits, they kind of cross, that's the X. All right, and then again, right side hitter skill. Next thing I look for is, setting hands can come in very handy. You are the setter until you're not the setter. What's that mean? So if the setter digs the ball to the front right and the libero can't get there, well, front right, you're the setter until that libero can get there. Okay. Similarly, if for whatever reason the setter is diving for a ball or something like that, and even if somebody else passes it front right, you got to set the ball until the setter can prove to you that they're going to be able to make the set, or maybe the libero can get there and set it, but maybe this libero dug it. We don't know. But good hands on the right side. And if you get really good hands, there's no reason you have to pass to the libero. You can pass right and let the right side run middle or outside also. A lot of the times you want to pass to the liberos because you want that big left-handed tall person on the right side that you would like hitting the ball. So the setter passes it to the libero, who passes it out to the right side. And then a passing story. One year at Harper, I had a 6-footer named Pickle, and I had a 5-footer named Samantha. And the temptation is always let the 5-footer play back row and the 6-footer play front. Well, what I would do is I would play Pickle across the whole 6 rotations for one game, and then I have Samantha play all 6 rotations for the other game. So let's say we struggled with passing or something, and Pickle was in the game. I would just move the passer out, put Pickle in the back row, say you pass it. The other team would look at her, lick their chops, and say, I'm going to serve a 6-footer. Ha, I got this point, right? Perfect pass to get out of that rotation, right? And then with setters, there's so much to say here. I netted it to these 7 things. Can you set the ball to the antennas consistently? Square up to that antenna, right? Can you run the offense? Do you establish the middle? Can you run your free ball play progressions? What does that mean? Like on a free ball, if we run a 31, run that first. Now the other team thinks that our free balls are always going to be 31s, but then next progression, we move the outside into the middle. So the middle stays with our middle on the 31, and then our outside has a wide open shot in the middle. And then the next time we run that very same free ball play, the team is scrambling to double block our 31 and then the middle, and then you set a 9 ball, and then you get out of the rotation that way. So how well you run your offense, that's big on the setter. And then a setter, what do we want? We want them to play defense first. Okay, but you bring the ball up. We a lot of setters like to just bail out and go think everybody else is going to pass for them. Okay, and then of course serve tough as usual. And then setters, they got to be able to be fast so they can run down bad passes and make hittable bump sets, right? So you're not making an unhittable bump set. What's an unhittable bump set? Well, bump it to the ref stand or at the 15-foot line in the back row. And then setters can play other positions. What happens when you get on a team and there's another good setter on that team? What do? You end up playing middle. I mean, at least get on the court that way. And then you got to be able to communicate with the coach. This is big. I mean, you're one age. I'm a totally different generation. You still got to be able to have conversations. You want to be able to listen, and you want to be able to respond. So like if I'm saying something or any coach is saying something from the bench out to the setter who's running the team, I need you to respond to something like you heard me. I mean, put a finger in the air, anything, do something to let me know you heard what I was asking you to do on the court. Okay, and then on the last slide here, and this is only 1 more minute, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A here. At least with Harper, we have a lot of websites and stuff. So the formal college website, it's just harperhawks.net, and that's where the sports information director puts all their articles and results and stories and stuff. We have a Facebook account, facebook.com, Harper Volleyball, and that's where you get info from the coaches like me. Results still, more in-depth stories, videos, standings, all kinds of info. It's anyway, you might want to like us and connect. A lot of information about a good college team to watch. We're on Instagram also, instagram.com, Harper Volleyball, and it's kind of like a day in the life and some boomerang videos, stuff like that, just fun stuff. Believe it or not, we have a TikTok account. I just opened up that earlier. You can search on Harper Volleyball. It's got some examples of nice digs. There's not too many videos there. And then I just couldn't help myself. Some really bad ref calls are on there. They're kind of hilarious to watch. When the referee tweets and says double hit, and then you slow down the speed to 1/10, the actual speed, and you still don't see a double hit, and you're wondering, how did the ref call a double hit on that? So it's kind of fun to see. And then we've got some YouTube accounts also. If you were to search Harper VB, There's some videos that I put on there. If you were to search Harper Volleyball 2016, one of the parents put all of our matches there the whole entire year, including the championship matches. It's just fun to see a couple of those matches. What does a college team look like when they're playing compared to what, a high school video would look like. And then if you were to search Harper Volleyball, we have the husband of our assistant coach has put on a few marketing videos there. It's been nice to see. I guess one last note, we have evaluations in club. We do those once a year. And the things I look at, or I always write back notes to the players are, how are you in serving? How are you at serve receive? How are you at defense passing? How are you at defense blocking? Are you, what do you do at outside hitting? What do you do at middle hitting? What do you do at right side hitting? It's all, we enter information, setting, and then the intangible stuff, attitude and intangibles. Then we list the strengths of the athlete, then focus on the following areas for improvement. Maybe you're a good hitter, you need to focus on passing, and then general comments. And the good thing about me coaching club is because I do coach college, I don't worry about evaluating you for how good you are in high school or on a high school team. I'm like, okay, if you want to play college, are you above or below the bar? And that's what the evaluations are. I don't want to give you an evaluation for what, are you good enough to play on your sophomore team? We're not looking for that. We want a little longer future than that. So Jeff, I'm at the end. I don't know how much time we have left. Hopefully a few minutes for the questions and answers.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes. We just have to be out at 7:50 for our next meeting. If anybody has a question, you could post it under the chat function of our Zoom meeting. Otherwise, I have a couple of questions.
Okay, so we went through all that. No questions. I love it. Haha.
The first question I had was, at what age should players who are interested in playing in college, when should they start to reach out to the college coaches?
Yeah, that is a great question. At Harper, I've known players who are going to come to Harper when they were a freshman in high school. Usually they're like a sister of somebody who was successful there. But, sophomore year probably. Now you hear stories of a 6-foot-something high jump state championship in 7th and 8th grade already being recruited by Minnesota. So you hear those kinds of stories. But I would say for the average population, sophomore, maybe a junior.
Okay, that makes sense. And where would they get the contact information for junior college coaches, for Division II, Division III, Division I? How do they gather that? Yeah, that's a great question. Unfortunately, it's a little bit like sleuthing. There's probably services out there that charge you $100 and you send to every coach known to mankind in the United States. But I think what you do is you kind of make your list of where you want to go to college, and please, please, please make an academic decision for where you want to go to college, not an athletic decision. The reality of it is you're going to play volleyball in college if you're lucky for 4 years, but you're going to be working hopefully after you get your degree for 40 years. So make an academic decision on your college. And then if the college happens to be an opportunity for you to play volleyball, all the better. And of course, you can kind of look for academic and, and athletic opportunities and, look for them both at the same time. But to get the coach's information, all you got to do is go to the website. Like, so for example, if you wanted to play at, pick a school, Augustana, you would go to the Augustana website just Google Augustana volleyball coach, and that coach will come up. The contact information is always there. And that's why you don't really need the recruiting websites. Now you put together a resume in Word on your volleyball experiences. Make sure you've got a link to a video that you've got, on YouTube unlisted or something like that. And those videos, nowadays, 3 or 4 minutes is all you need. Real volleyball action, not a tape in a gym where a coach is, rhythm setting you. I mean, actual, rallies in a game. And you don't have to show the whole game, but it's not bad to show a mistake either, because the coaches want to see how you react after you blow a hit into the bottom of the net or you set the ref stand or something. But just 3 or 4 minute video, and then email it to that coach. And so if you think, though, let's use Harper as an example. If you think you can fit in on the Harper team, every team in that conference would want you. So if during your process of searching for a team, you find out that East Mississippi State wants, or is considering you to play on their team, go and look at East Mississippi State and who else do they play? Because in all probability, every other team in that conference, if East Mississippi State wants you,
the other teams in that conference would also want you. And then all the rest of the teams at East Mississippi State, whoever they play, unless they play Penn State, right? They probably want you also. So then now you've got 20 more schools to look up the coach's email address to send that resume out to. And I mean it, send out 100 or 150 of those if you want to play in college. Or if you're really good, just send me the resume at Harper College.
There you go. Well, we're out of time. I appreciate your time, Coach Bob, and thank you to the girls for participating, and hopefully they learned a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of great information, and we're recording this, so I'll be sending it to all the families as well, so they can watch those that couldn't be there today. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to share from your heart and from your 20 years of coaching at Harper. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Like I said earlier, it was an honor to be here. Thanks.
Well, good. Well, thanks. Have a great evening. And thanks, ladies, for coming. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care.
Well, good. Thanks, Bob. I forgot we have another one at 8 o'clock, and they're ready to get on. So it's one of those Zoom things. I'm still learning.
Yeah, no worries. I hope it went well. And
it went great.
Yeah.
That was fun. I appreciate you being thorough, too. You covered a lot of good information.
Well, it was my pleasure. It was fun doing. So, all right, I'll let you know.
Well, hopefully I'll see you this winter at a match. You never know.
Oh, gosh, I hope so.
All right, take care. Have a great holiday, too.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, bye-bye.